Tell me about your upcoming projects that you're working on or currently working on.
My upcoming and currently working on project right now, this is my baby. It is the Inhuman Protection Agency, or the IHPA project. This is what I like to call a DIY Washington-based cinematic universe. And that's a lot, but it's a very ambitious project of mine to launch something that we can call our own. That's an IP that could create short films, feature films, uh, all kinds of other types of creative content based on a particular world, rather than selling the rights to Netflix or whatever and they go make it somewhere else. The project, the IHPA project, or the Inhuman Protection Agency, is all about the confluence of supernatural beings, monsters, as it were, who are living among normal humans, and stuff happens. So the world, in this particular case, is supernatural beings are known, and instead of being feared and being hunted down, the US government decided that they're going to treat them basically like anybody else that they're going to colonize, and that is to integrate them to the point where they basically become either subdued into society, or they're just swept under the rug. So you have folks like, vampires, werewolves, so forth, so on, merfolk, sorry, and they're trying to do what they can. They're just like, they got to pay the bills too, right? So we're trying to turn all these supernatural cryptid type of tropes on its head to tell this the flip side of the story of what it means to be someone who's like this creature who has to live with the necessity to feed off of fresh blood or to transform into some hideous monster. And what does that mean when you have a human society that is already xenophobic to begin with? So we're exploring this world, and the idea is we're going to launch a series, a full on, like, as much of a TV like series as possible that we can make here in Washington State. It's going to take a lot of money, a lot of resources to get it done, because I want to do it right, and I want it to have all the wonderful production values so it can compete with what is out there on Netflix and the streaming services. But again, I want to make it here. So the challenge is, how do we how are we able to compete by developing a really incredible, engaging story, but also have a fan base that's going to demand it? So what we're doing is, on YouTube, if you search for the Inhuman Protection Agency or the IHPA project or just IHPA, you'll come
We'll
across
link
us.
that.
Thank you very
We'll link
much.
it in the show notes.
Check out the link. And instead of just going whole hog and just making like a pilot or making a full on short as a proof of concept, we're doing short little videos that we can do on YouTube as like character vlogs. So imagine someone within this world who's just talking to the camera, and they may be a mermaid who is trying to experience what life is on land and trying to date two-leggers who may not understand what it means to actually be a mermaid. Or it could mean trying to come up with some other clever examples. You can go out there and see for yourself. But the idea is that we can use this opportunity to create a whole bunch of small little stories that fit within this world to help A, build up an audience, but B, provide regular paid opportunities for actors that want to participate or writers that want to participate.
So so right now so let me just break this down for everyone. You're having actors vlog their story. They can come up with, do you need to approve the story? Do you need to look that over? Or, okay, you do have, okay,
So we have a
script.
show Bible. We do have rules in place of what can and cannot happen because we have to operate under the rules of what this world is like. So we can't have someone just come out of left field and be like, okay, I'm going to be an alien that just no, because we're not doing a sci-fi, we're doing supernatural. So, there's like those types of things that we need to follow. When I first launched this last year, I was really leaning on folks that could improvise something, that maybe something that just gets workshopped out, but at the end, it is really up to them to provide that performance, which would include the creation of their character and their scene that they're going to perform. So because I relied so much on the actors, I found out very quickly that it's very hard to do. It's a very bit of an ask, especially for so many folks is just willing, just give me the script. I'm used to working with the script because that's how we work, rather than having me do all the work for you. But I kind of saw it as like a co-creative type of thing. But as this world grew and grew, and the more characters we started to create, and the more stories that are going to become more involved and intertwined, that we had to have a good bearing of controlling that, so that we can have a cohesive story that first of all made sense, but also lend itself to what we're going to have as a produced series, which will be scripted, which will be fully produced and everything like that. It'll be more controlled. So this YouTube, the more of the YouTube short form content is leading up to that.
Okay. So it's more of like introducing the characters. They're going to be
Right.
part of the show.
Exactly. So
Okay.
that's what we've done so far. We're doing what we call season 0.1, and that is a lot of beginnings of stories,
Okay.
understanding what these characters are, like who are they just at first, but leading on to what could happen, or ooh, I want to find out more because of this. So when I'm just going to pick out someone out of randomly, but Abby Akenazar, who played Ilaria the Narian, who's a mermaid, so she's dating men on land for the first time. She came up with the script herself, but it led to a lot of ideas that me and the writing team are like, okay, where can we actually take this? Where do we see Ilaria in her navigation in this very dangerous world? And so then we're creating uh, antagonists that might be, what happens if we have a human that's set out to basically take out every merfolk that's coming on land because something happened in his past out in sea? And so he has this vendetta against these abominations. And maybe he's called the fisherman or something like that. I don't want to go too much into details because you really should stay tuned. So please subscribe to the channel. That would be great. And give us a like when you can. It really helps us out. We're not even asking for money just yet. But one thing I really impress upon is it's going to help us get seen by other folks, which would then help create other opportunities. So any free press of that like button, any free press of that subscribe button, really gets us closer to that goal.
So what is this? Is the casting closed, or are you still open to other
We're
people?
That's the beauty of this project, is because we're always coming up with new stories, because we're trying to, well, we're the goal is to release a video every week, one video every week. And so that's a lot of videos and a lot of content. And we could have many characters. And so far, our writing team has been great. We've already have, I would say, a good 10 videos in the hopper as it is. And there's quite a few I need to actually go out and cast. So those could be anybody that's out there, across a range of experiences, They don't have to be someone who's very well known, but anybody who's willing to take on a character and just work with it and wanting to play within this space are more than welcome to audition, and we would love to have them on board.
Do they have to be in Washington State?
Ideally, yes. And that's because we really want to keep this as local as possible.
Okay.
Again, the idea being that if we go too further afield, we might, I wouldn't say lose that control, but there's also the we could technically get rebates and some other things from the state if we keep everything local as much as possible, especially once we get to the series. And then we have so many people here who need those opportunities to begin with. I think people in other markets, they have plenty of those opportunities. Like, we don't need folks from Atlanta. Love you to death out in Atlanta, but you guys have enough of your own opportunities as it is. So we needed something that creates stuff for us here.
So all you Washington actors, contact Dave if you want
Spokane
to
too, East Side, or and yeah, Eastern Washington. Yeah, you call us.
Let me just break this down, because it sounds like if you have an actor, he does the audition, you guys cast them, they come on board, they make up a story, a vlog of a character. Your writing team will take that idea and expand that character.
We can do that, but what we're doing right now is we were doing that before. We're now transitioning to pre-written scripts and ideas that are coming from our writing team that we will then cast.
So then it's easier. It's easier. You don't have to come up with anything. You just audition and get casted. That's
exactly
a piece of cake.
And they're really short. They're like, we try to keep them about 5 minutes or so. Yeah. So even though we are asking folks to self-record a lot of these, it's not that long, and that DIY sense lends, I think, lends itself well to the vlogness of these types of videos. And I think the more that we do these, the more different characters that we can get out there, that someone out there is going to latch on to it.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, I want to see more of that.
Do they send you the footage then? You edit it?
Yes.
Throw it on YouTube?
So all we need is the bare footage of them doing the performance, and it can be done in several takes. I've suggested, you know what, you don't even have to send me separate takes. You can just do it all in one take, and I'll edit around it. Because I'm used to doing that in the video production world anyways.
Yeah.
So it just makes it, we're trying to make it as easy on them as possible, so it's not feel like, yeah, I have to do this myself, but rather it's like, hey, I'm doing this and I'm being part of this really great project.
How many characters do you have now? Ballpark?
Well, we're hopefully this week, knock on wood, will be our 10th episode for season 0.1. And so far, I think we have, because some folks have done 2 videos. I think all in all, we have about 8, 9 characters right now. And we probably have, I think, a potential for almost like 20 doing these. And that's not to include the recurring characters that are going to be part of the series that we're also going to want to get involved early on in this process.
And then once you've created the show, what's the plan? How are you going to broadcast that show?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I've been racking my brains, because when you're on, it's easy to just give the IP away to Netflix and let them handle it, and then they provide everything for you. But being on YouTube, and especially if you don't have that big of a audience, the selling point's not really there. It's not something that you can see a lot of return on investment, unfortunately, no matter how much you do with Patreon and subscriptions and everything else. So I'm mulling over different different distribution platforms that are probably geared towards independent producers, and I've seen a couple of them. So I'm still doing some more research, and then hopefully I can come across one that might be um, that might work, but also would attract some producers to help us out with it.
When do you want to have everything casted and ready to go? Like you said, you have 8 people doing characters right now, and you have about 20 in your catalog.
Right.
When do you want to have all those filled?
Well, we're casting as we go.
Okay.
So as we create a script and that one's ready to go, we'll just go ahead and cast it. And keeping in mind that that character could be brought on again, it could be someone that we would want to consider as a recurring role, or it might be, it could be just something fun as well. So it just all depends. The mainline series we right now I have in mind for the principal cast. So those will be the ones that'll be part of the A story and the B story. It would just be them, and
Right.
those would be separate from all the other ones that we're doing on YouTube.
Are those all filled already?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
So
The idea is we want to do this as a SAG-AFTRA contract, and we really want to make sure that we have a solid script for the pilot, and then making a teaser trailer for the pilot and get all the attention that we can and help to get that pilot done.
Yeah.
And so that will be a good indicator of how we can move with that forward. But the pilot will be indicative of the what you could expect with the recurring characters and the overall story arc.
So where can people reach you if they want to audition?
If they want to audition, please reach out to me. The best way possible would be, let's say, I would say reach me on Facebook.com. I'm at David J. Nance on Facebook. Just send me a DM and saying I'm interested in the IHPA project. Please keep me in mind for any future upcoming roles that you might have. I'll definitely put you on the list.
Awesome. One last question before we dock the ship. What is your favorite tech for film production?